My name is Jeff Gray. I am the General Manager of the Museum of Natural History here on Summer Street in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So we are on the upper floor of the museum. This is not a floor that the public get to visit when they're visiting the museum downstairs. This is where our curatorial staff for the Nova Scotia Museum work, but it's also where a lot of items that we have off view, part of the Nova Scotia Museum collection, are stored. It's right this way. So laid out here on this table, which is part of our collections area, these are fossils from the mastodon dig in 1991. So last year, the Museum of Natural History mounted one of the largest exhibits that we've made in-house that was on the age of the mastodon. That exhibit included a full-size cast of a mastodon, but also included a number of fossils that had never been on view before. To me, I think that mastodon project is sort of the perfect example of what museums do for work. We're involved in field work when something is found. We're involved with preserving it and keeping it forever. We are in the process of restoring them and then making them available through exhibits and then having those exhibits travel around so a wide range of people get to learn stories about what makes up Nova Scotia. A lot of what people see, these could be the only one of their kind. And they tell a Nova Scotian story that can't be told in some cases without those items. This is the main storage site for most of the cultural collection and natural history collection. It's important to remember that the museum's collection ranges from small little pieces in jars to full-size buses and train cars, and the Acadia on the waterfront are all part of the Nova Scotia Museum. A whole case of birds here. We don't want them on public view because at the time when they would have been preserved and set up, they use a lot of arsenic and other materials that are considered hazardous today. But they're still an important part of our collection. So we keep them here behind the scenes so they're here to be referenced. If researchers have questions, they can have a look at them. This collection of paintings is less about art and more that it provides a historical reference, a visual reference to something else that was important in Nova Scotia's history. A snapshot, if you will, of what it would have looked like in the context of that time. It's also sometimes not just what the items are, but thinking about the people who had them. What were their stories? What were their lives like? What can we learn about the way they lived their lives that are relevant to today? That story doesn't change a lot for people, and I think that's what makes it interesting. For a lot of people, it is about an afternoon out to see something fun, come see Gus, see the moose and deer, take a family photo, and all of that is massively important. But so too is the other side that people don't see, where we're keeping these things forever. And I think it's sort of a source of silent pride. You don't get asked about it very often. Really, the reason we exist is to be able to preserve Nova Scotia's collective heritage and natural history so that we can share it with future generations.
Well, if you had to guess, like a dollar value for everything that is here,
it's impossible. Most of what you have here can't be replaced. So even if you had a dollar figure, you couldn't use it to replace the things that you have because they don't exist. We are largely a warehouse of stuff. And to be honest, that's essentially what it is. It becomes more than that when you're able to share these stories. Like today, all of these things became alive because we were sharing stories about them. And so that's what a museum is really here for, is to be able to hold those stories and share those stories in the future.